Hey and welcome to my channel. I'm Dazzling Dave, and in this video I'm going to be taking a look at why the Premier League have bought in this pay-per-view initially for October, and why football fans of all clubs around the country, to put it mildly, are annoyed. So obviously the backdrop to this is the COVID-19 pandemic, and obviously fans not being allowed into grounds, and obviously cases currently rising, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon. All clubs want fans to get back into the ground, but up until this point, from Project Restart and also the initial start of this year's Premier League, arrangements has been made so that fans that can't go to the matches have been able to watch every single game on either Sky, BT, or some games have been on the BBC. The companies that have had their regular games and fixtures that they pick, and then they've been broadcasting the other games, which normally in normal circumstances obviously wouldn't happen, but they do broadcast them anyway because they go broadcasting across the world, and the rights for the different individual countries they have for that. So hopefully all Premier League fans were hoping that this was going to continue. Obviously initially they were hoping to get fans back in from October. It's looking unlikely for, as I say, for a foreseeable future, but the Premier League have had this meeting, and initially when I saw this announcement yesterday come out about Sky and BT charging $14.95 for games that are not on their schedule that they've picked, I was really angry, like most fans, with the broadcasters. Were having read up on it a lot more, I've found out that it's actually the Premier League that are bringing this in. Rob Wester, who's the MD of Sky Sports, have basically been reported that the Premier League have wanted to do this and they're going to support them. And there was this meeting, wasn't there, where apparently quite a few clubs brought up an objection. The Leicester City representative were very passionate about this, but despite many clubs having an objection, only Leicester City voted against it. It was 19-1 in favour of bringing in the pay-per-view at $14.95. Now, I'm a Wolves fan. I must admit, Wolves, I'm quite proud of our owners generally, because they looked after all the staff during the lockdown. They haven't charged any of the season ticket holders any holding fee or anything like that. It's all really positive. So I'm really surprised that Wolves did not vote alongside Leicester against this. It just surprised me a bit. We've got to look at the context, and I'll come on to the reasons that the fans are so angry. So from the Premier League club's point of view, obviously they're losing vast amounts of revenue. Not just the Premier League clubs. Let's just look at the all the way down the EFL. There's so many clubs down the pyramid that are close to going bust, and everyone concerns about that, because the football club literally is massive part of the community, and we don't want any club to go out of business. But obviously the Premier League are looking at the revenues, how can they get it back? So they've obviously come up with this idea that, Sky, BT have their matches that they've picked, and they decided to try and make some revenue, because it is the Premier League that makes the revenue. Sky just and BT covering their costs of producing it. Let's face it, they're filming it anyway for distribution around the world, and then the Premier League are going to make whatever it is on top, so quite a bit of money. It's been reported that if 40,000 people buy a game, that's worth £600,000 per game. Now obviously the Premier League already gets billions of pounds from the broadcasters, and this is why the fans are really annoyed. Yeah, I think it's it's difficult, and they do want to make the revenues, and maybe there is an argument for bringing in pay-per-view, but at £14.95, is that the right price? And there's also fans you know, some fans, maybe they can afford to do it. I've done a poll on my Always Wolves Twitter. As you can see, so many of the Wolves fans are quite angry about this. A few indifferent and a few okay. And that's generally the consensus, I think, across all fans, across all clubs. And the reason is, things are hard. I've had a phone call off my my dad this morning. He's in his 80s. Being able to watch the games, not just the Wolves games, but other teams' games, has been an absolute godsend to him. He's, like say, he's in his 80s. He's had to be shielding, you know, and being able to watch the football has been fantastic for him. It's given him something to look forward to and enjoy. He rang me this morning, first thing on the phone, because he's learned how to do video calling during the lockdown. And he was really upset. He's like, I'm not paying this £15, what it is I pay, like for my Sky, and we've got the BT app on there as well. And you know, you can understand. And there's loads of people, doesn't matter what age group they are, people have lost jobs, struggling for finances, and the football is their one thing. So to charge $14.95, and there's a lot of people struggling even to put food on the table, and you know, the pleasure of watching their team and watching other football, it seems that it's a bit of a PR disaster really for the Premier League. When you think about it as well, the broadcasters are going to look after themselves. BT and Sky, they're going to pick what they see as the games that are going to get the most matched. Okay, each team have got a set amount of games that they will get broadcast, but you know that the likes of Liverpool, United, City and Chelsea are generally, on average, going to get shown more times. So it's maybe the less fashionable clubs or the so-called smaller clubs that are going to end up, their fans are going to end up having to probably pay more as well, because they're not going to be shown as often. So like in a month, if there's like 1, 2 or even 3 games, that's a lot of money. You know, £30, £45. So the other thing is, they don't really know at this point how the revenue is going to be distributed amongst the clubs in the Premier League. Is it going to be just on the games that each team have, or is it going to be put into a pot and spread out? And I think one of the things that they could have looked at doing when they did this, personally, is if they're going to make this money, then there should have been something put out that enables some of this money that goes down to helping those clubs at the bottom that really need it at the moment to keep the pyramid, raising this extra revenue. I also think that most fans probably would have taken it on the chin had it been half that much, maybe £7, £7.50 or £5 or something like that. But £14.95, I think that's where they've gone wrong. Some of the thinking behind this and the reasoning behind it, from what I'm gathering, is that people have been paying £10 for the Carabao Cup match. Well, I paid £10 to watch the Wolves Carabao Cup match against Stoke. It had one camera angle, and it wasn't the best. And of course, we know that Sky and BT have got multiple camera angles and much better in terms of the pundits and all that sort of, and all the stuff that goes around it and the build-up and stuff like that. But the Carabao Cup was way overpriced for what you got. If that was like a £5, then it was too much. So they also gone about, people pay the pay-per-view on the boxing at £20, £25, but you don't have Anthony Joshua fighting every single week, do you? He fights every 6 months or so, and obviously that's a massive global audience. This is just for the UK and for Britain in general. So it's disappointing. I'm annoyed about it and pretty vexed, and I'm quite a positive guy generally. I've spoken to quite a few Wolves fans who've also messaged me really upset about it. I'd like to think that the Premier League can really listen to the fans on this one and think again about the price structure. If you've got to do the pay-per-view, do it, but reduce the price, make it more affordable for the average fan. Think about all those fans that are really struggling at the moment, not just financially but with their mental health, and it's something that they look forward to. And the other thing you've got to think about is that fans, you know, won't pay. They'll just end up going on illegal streams and streaming it through their computers. So it's counterproductive from that point of view, from the Premier League and also for the broadcasters, because you'll just end up people getting on illegal streams to download it, or again congregating in pubs and places like that and households to watch it and all chipping in. And obviously with the COVID thing as well, that's not kind of like the best thing to do either, is it? So the price structure needs to be looked at if they're going to bring it in. Yeah, I understand they need to make the revenues and they're a business, but you know, they get billions anyway, and in the Premier League the actual match day revenue is only a proportion of what it is for the lower league clubs. Are you angry? Are you annoyed about it? And do you think if they'd have bought it out and done something in terms of structure and helping the lower league clubs, and also in terms of the price, would you be more accepting of it? I'd really want to hear your views on this one. And yeah, until the next one, I'm Dazzling Dave. Always Wolves.